welcome in, welcome friends to the newest edition of Seahawkers What If, the most unique Seahawks preview show in the multiverse. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner, and I am joined by the one, the only, the great Brandon Schultz. And this would not be, it could not be, we could not traverse the Seahawks multiverse without the protector of that multiverse. And that is Mr. Phil Leidick down there, center square out on YouTube. Boys, we are 2-0. We have a Skylar Thompson-led team getting on the longest flight possible, traveling back in time to the PNW. Looks like a 68-degree, kind of overcast day, but no rain forecasted. I am feeling pumped and bullish in the right way. Brandon, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing well, man. I'm still in recovery mode, but we had a great time, and now it's time to try and pull myself out of recovery mode and into focusing on football this coming weekend.
I love it. We get the good Seahawks IV going and all the good fluids. We've been putting out content all week long, and now we get to the most unique preview show that is really, I say I'm the host, but it's kind of a host in talking head. Mr. Phil's the actual host. He comes up with the magic themes. Mr. Phil, how are you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to a third matchup against the AFC. Had a good start. We talked about Transformers before the show started. I guess the first one was good. The next one, they just started going downhill. Hopefully we didn't have the first really good performance, kind of a uneven performance a la Transformer series, and then it just gets worse from there for the rest of the experience. Let's hope it's not like the Transformers. Let's hope we catch another gear and get things improving for our Seahawks.
For sure. And Brandon, was it Michael Bay who did like all those? I'm not really sure. I think it was they feel like Michael Bay movies with everything blowing up.
I don't know if he did all of them because I tapped out about, 3 of them in. So
you got tattoos for each and every installment. Come on, you showed me live in Boston. It was glorious. We don't got to talk about that live though. What we should remind people is what they can do to be part of the flockers, to become a member of the flock. And all the good things we're doing. So Brandon, can you just lay some breadcrumbs out for the people so they know what to do to join and raise the Hawker with us?
Yes, you can go to getintheflock.com. You don't even have to support the show monetarily. You can go there and join. You can become a free member. And that way you get all the emails when new shows come out. And yeah, you get an idea of everything that we've got going on between the Seahawkers podcast, between the For the Hawkra feed that's on the Believe podcast network, all the shows, everything right there. And then if you want to support the show, you get everything ad free. You get into our Discord group, and you might have a lot more fun that way.
Yeah, you very well may. We have a Discord group just for Seahawkers What If, and we interact all throughout the week. It is a ton of fun. And the easiest, freest thing you can do is also, hey, youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. Subscribe, hit the likes. If you're a YouTube person, you're going to get everything coming there, and it kind of makes it simple. Plus, you get to see bearded guys. Who doesn't want to see bearded guys? So, Mr. Phil, you've got a great beard, and I'm sure you've cooked up a great theme for this week. But first, you're going to talk to us a little bit about what you saw from the Dolphins-Bills game. Yeah. Certainly disrupted with Tua's injury, but what else did you see that you want to share?
Well, I watched the whole game, and I normally take notes, offense, defense, special teams. I ended up with not a lot of notes, and I'm not sure why. I think it's just the Bills looked really great, or the Dolphins didn't look that great. I'm not entirely sure if it was some combination somewhere in between, but I think the Bills are probably going to be a very good team, so it was hard to determine. But the Dolphins did not look good with or without Tua. Tua wasn't looking great. When he was out, there was nothing left. So take the first couple games from the Dolphins and without their quarterback, I imagine we're going to see some different things. I thought I could learn something from the defense because, Tua doesn't play defense, but the Bills look so good on offense. Again, it's like I felt like they were getting gashed. One thing I saw from the Dolphins, they're good at opening up holes in the middle in the run game. I think that could be concerning for us. If I was going to say there's one thing that this stood out was their offensive line seemed to be pretty good on holes up the middle. Other than that, I couldn't take a lot from their team. I didn't see much that they were doing well. They're really interesting. Their offensive last couple years, Mike Macdonald is pretty fancy. But it wasn't accomplishing a lot. It was a lot of window dressing, but not a lot of flavor. That's just from this matchup. What did you guys see from the game?
I'd agree. It's a tough, especially if you're just using that one game to try and analyze what the Dolphins do, because they really weren't able to do anything apart from those runs up the middle. And they do have that speed to get outside on the edges. So if you can't set an edge as a team, then you do have to be concerned a little bit with that Dolphins offense when they try and bump it outside.
Since the Bills set an edge, maybe that was like the end of game over for them. I don't know.
Yeah, and for me, it's just Tua got off to a bad start, right? He had a couple of picks, and the Bills capitalized right away, and the game got tilted well before Tua got injured. When he ran into the guy and got his latest concussion, they were down 3 scores, right? And he was trying to extend the play and get a first down, which all credit due there, but he obviously ran into a dude's sternum basically, and they were already out of that game, Phil. So I kind of saw what you saw. I do think it was because of early bad decisions from at that point Tua, who's not going to be playing this game, but we got Skylar Thompson. He's not better. He's not better than
I didn't
Tua.
see much.
Yeah, he's not better than Tua. He's been there 3+ years. I'm sure we'll talk about him more. But like you said, hard to gauge the rest of it. Kind of a floundering team right now. They don't feel like they have a real identity, which is exactly the opposite of where they were maybe a season and a half ago when it was all about McDaniel and they had that high flying energy. Little bit like depressed right now because they're 1-1, barely squeaked it out versus Jacksonville, get waxed by an opponent, haven't specifically looked good yet this year. So we'll see what they could do, man.
Well, let's get into our theme. I had a fish theme kind of cooked up, but here's what I didn't want to deal with, guys. Dolphins aren't a fish. They're a mammal, which of course is true. They're a sea creature. I mean, I like some tasty fish. Could you imagine having to say "go Phins" all the time? That's got to be a little bit embarrassing. What's dangerous football-y about a dolphin whatsoever? They're cute, they're lovable, you want to hug them, you want to swim with them, but I'm sure not afraid of them. But I couldn't do that because, dolphins aren't a fish. So we're at game 3. Game 3 is very significant for the Seahawks. The last 5 times we have gone 3-0. Guess how many of those times we've gone to the playoffs?
All of them.
Yeah.
Every single time. So starting off 3-0 could portend very good things for the Seahawks. In fact, one of the times we went 3-0, we did something else really awesome, which is, of course, we won the Super Bowl. But what if, gentlemen, 3 can be the magic number? There's 3 of us. We have each of you get to select 3 categories. And so with this number 3 going into game 3, we have 3-pointer, big 3, 3 amigos, 3 and out, three-peat. I'm not even sure if I can put that there because, Pat Riley trademarked it, but three-peat. And then 3-4-3. This is week 3, odd number. Brandon will be going first on our category. Where are we going, Brandon?
Here's the thing. There's one that stands out to me that I know that Clinton's going to want to take. I'm going to steal it from him because I am going with Steve Martin, Martin Short, Chevy Chase, the 3 amigos. That's us.
I love it.
3 amigos. Okay, so you might remember in football history, we were pretty young. You guys were even younger. Who are the 3 amigos? Maybe you don't know all the players, but the team they had 3 players called the 3 amigos.
Well, is this like Super Duper, right? Mark Super Duper, were they and Clayton and Marie?
No, they weren't the 3 amigos. That's the Dolphins. That would have made some sense. This was a division rivalry back in the 80s. John Elway was the quarterback, 3 receivers for the Broncos.
Vance Johnson? Was he one of them? Was he in that?
Even before
Okay,
that.
Yeah.
So we have 3 great receivers, better than the 3 amigos. But here's the question. We are already settled and confident our receivers are great. There's no doubt about it. That's one of the things we know about this season. What if there's an offensive player other than them who needs to step it up, Brandon? Who can do it against the Phins other than our 3 great receivers?
I think I would say Noah Fant in this situation. He's outside the wide receivers, but also a pass catcher. And the reason why I would look to him is because one of the things that I think we've seen other teams attack is that Dolphins linebacking crew. David Long Jr. In the middle of the field at linebacker. He's one of the guys that I think we can go after. And of course, Jordan Brooks on the other side. We don't need to make this a Jordan Brooks revenge game. We need to make this a Noah Fant awesome game and go right at Jordan. And I think him stepping up, it can help us against the Phins.
I like that call because Jordan Brooks is really good at accumulating tackles. I don't think so on PBUs or, difference making plays. That was never his thing. He does compile some tackles. So I'm fine if Fant catches it and he gets tackled. Fant catches it and he gets tackled. Fant catches it and he gets tackled. Clinton, who do you got? Somebody that needs to step up outside of our big our three amigos.
Yeah, for sure. And I do hope that Fant can be someone who steps up and catches the ball because I think he has 11 yards and 14 yards respectively, maybe 1 and 2 or 2 and 1, however the games went. That's not okay. That's not okay for your starting tight end that you're paying $10+ million. So catch the ball, dude. All right. So I think for me, similarly, there's two guys. In fact, I'm gonna go with a non pass catcher. I'm gonna go to Connor Williams, and this is less about. I'm not like, oh, he's been bad. That's not the case. Guy's coming off of a knee. He's played every snap so far. But I do want to take a little bit of the revenge game tilt at this. And we have got to get more push in the run game. Now, when you see the Buffalo Bills screen really effectively, use the middle of the field really effectively, just get James Cook a little bit of an opening, and then he's gone. James Cook is special. James Cook, to me, has the talent level of like Ken Walker, who may or may not play. Again, I don't think he's going to play. Even a week and a half ago, I was like, an oblique takes a few weeks. We'll see. What all that means to me is that like our dudes have to provide larger holes for guys not as dynamic as Cook and Walker. And so Connor Williams has a role to play there. He got beat on a play last week as well. You're never going to be perfect. But the Dolphins interior, I don't think it's that good. They got some edge guys, and we'll probably talk about them. I'll save some of that for later. But their interior push, I don't think it's stellar. So just getting Connor Williams maybe to a point where it's like a clean sheet game completely. And in run blocking, we see the interior open things up, kind of anchored with him doing his part. That could be a cool dude to step it up versus his old team that, that didn't kick him to the curb, but he got hurt and we're not interested in re-signing him.
Love it.
Thanks.
I think that would be awesome for our center that we're excited about to do everything that we might hope. So we got 5 categories left, Clinton. That means it's your chance to pick one. He took the one you wanted, so take your second choice.
So I'm online at the bathroom in Boston, and I'm talking to this guy, Jacob, who's like, I'm handing him our card. And Jacob's like, he's like, oh, I know you. You guys are great. So we embrace and we're talking about it. And so then I'm like, oh man, I live in Connecticut. And he goes, yeah, dude, I know. You say it on every show, right? So, so which is funny. And shout out, Jacob, you're a good dude. So what's on screen here that does link to my lineage is the UConn Huskies. UConn Huskies basketball team led by Coach Hurley, who came back, said no to the LA Lakers, came back to UConn in Little Old Stores, Connecticut. They will be going for their three-peat this year. So three-peat with the Huskies, good energy for our rookie guard, and shout out to Jacob. Three-peat.
Got it. Another 80s history. Pat Riley was so excited the Lakers were going to chase down that three-peat. He trademarked the whole thing. And guess what happened? They didn't succeed, and it ended up being the Bulls that had the double three-peat, and then the Lakers not with Pat Riley that had the three-peat, but he was so set on it. Anyway, what if we can three-peat the AFC to start this season? Who, and I'm talking about these three games together, who will have been most responsible for these 3 games and why if we have a three-peat opening, Clinton? Most responsible.
Okay. I'm not going to take the free square. I'm not even going to mention.
I think there's
a couple. I'm going to avoid the ones that I think are free squares, and I don't blame anybody if Brandon, if you take them, don't blame you. But I'm going to avoid them. I am going to instead go to Charles Cross and say if he could have another above average game. Game one was stellar. Game 2, grades out really well. And he's right in that. I think right now he's PFF's best rated left tackle, which is something. You can't look at PFF as gospel. However, you look at who's on top, like, okay, yeah, those are good players. It does match that way for sure. So he's the top ranked left tackle. If his jump continues and he can do it again and put together that 3-pack and three-peat you're talking about, he'll at least be a very, very major reason that we got out to the start we got out to. Now, he went against a good New England defensive line and I think a pretty good Broncos defensive line. These are not bad defenses, not great offenses, but pretty good on the defensive line. He's going to have some challenges this week as well. Jalen Phillips might be out there. You got Chop Robinson. Let's see who plays what side. And if Phillips is recovering still from his Achilles, that'll be interesting. Listen to a couple of Dolphins podcasts leading up to this, and they're just saying like, hey, he's not fully back yet. And you can see, meaning Phillips, he doesn't have that first step just yet, but he is battling back from an Achilles. So you expect him to just continue to progress as he does battle back. But I'll end it there. For me, it's Charles Cross. The jump between year 2 to the start of year 3 is a huge reason we're 2-0.
Yeah. You see where Clinton's going. He's looking to breathe positivity into our O-line for the season. Brandon, who will have been most responsible if we pull off this three-peat?
Yeah, you say there's 2 answers. I see plenty of answers to this one, and I'm going to go with Riq Woolen because for us to get by the Dolphins, the one guy that I think I would end up being most concerned about is their Tyreek Hill. And if we're going to put a dude on a dude and Riq Woolen is going to be the one who travels, the speed that he has is probably the only guy on defense that can really match that speed of Tyreek Hill. And not only does he have the speed, but he has the length. If he can find a way to and they'll find ways to get Hill the ball because they throw him short passes behind the line of scrimmage, and obviously not going to be able to defend those. But if you're running with him, running him down, I think that can be the key to really neutralizing their biggest weapon on the defense. And so if based on what he's done through the first couple games of the season, he's been real solid. And then I think he can continue that here through 3 games, and that can help us take out the Dolphins.
Those would be fantastic calls. I would like our viewers, maybe they're thinking for these 3 games together, who would have been most responsible? They can throw in the comment what individual they think that would be. I thought you guys were going to pick between Geno and Coach Mike.
Coach Macdonald, yeah, for sure.
I thought it was between those 2 for the 3 games.
I thought about going phenomenal with Ryan Grubb. Yeah. Because he's adjusted well in these first 2 games.
And I love the visual hint up top on that slide where you got Pat Riley and Magic. It's like, hey, maybe you want to talk about the coach and the most important person on the team, right? Well, but this is part of the Seahawkers Podcast Network, and we do things a little bit more differently around here. And we're not going to just make it fun. I will say real quick for Brandon too, man. Tariq, I think, is ranked 10th right now in run stopping in the NFL, and like 1 or 2 around there. He's very, very top in coverage also. So same thing. It's like if he has another game like that, it's a great call by you, dude.
Yeah. A lot of people doing well. Thank you for reminding me a lot. If we didn't have Geno as our quarterback, I think there's very few others where we'd be sitting 2-0 if they were our quarterback right now. No, that's just my throw in, but
I agree.
Brandon gets to pick next. Where are we going?
We have done this a lot to other teams so far this season. I am thinking of 3 and out.
Nice.
3 and out. Love it. And this one I didn't try to hide what we're trying to say here. What if the Hawks D can stifle Skylar Thompson? Devon, tell me again. Achane. I love watching him play. I wish I could remember how to pronounce his name. Achane. On 3rd down. How can they best do it? What's going to be the secret to stopping them on 3rd down, Brandon?
I think especially Achane, you can't allow them to get into 3rd and short, because he's the type of back that if they have 3rd and short, then he's going to be able to be the one to pick up these first downs. And Skylar Thompson, if you're putting him then in passing situations, obvious passing situations, one of the things that I'm looking at going into this game is the fact that Teron Armstead is on the injury report, and it's a shoulder injury, so he is likely able to play, but he had to sit out practice on Wednesday. He would be the one guy on that offensive line. One, he's their best player on the offensive line. If he's not out there, then not only is that making Achane easier to stop, it's making it easier for the Seahawks to get to Skylar Thompson. So that's going to be one thing that I'm watching. And yeah, if they can load up the box and really focus on stopping Achane, I'd be okay with trying to make Skylar Thompson beat us.
Yeah, and the second half of the game, they had two backup linemen in on the left side, their left tackle, left guard. It looked pretty bad. So if you're a Phins fan, and you have to call yourself a Phins fan, sorry for that, but if you are, you're hoping that won't be the same line situation against the Seahawks. Clinton, what do you think is going to be the key to stomping them on third down? I'd love to get some 3-and-outs, but in any third down stops.
Yeah, third down stops. To me, it's what you're doing on second down often, so that you're
Yeah.
not in 3rd and 2s. With that, though, for Skylar in general, look, I think this is a bad time for Skylar Thompson. This is a Macdonald-led defense. We all know what they do. We all know the disguised blitzes, the simulated rushes. So everybody knows that by now. That's cool. What it does is it greatly speeds up the clock of a quarterback to try and make decisions, and then they're just dumping it down. That's all the time they have. Skylar Thompson, from what I could see, read, listen to other Dolphins podcasters, they're like, yeah, great, he's in year 3. This is not a great processor. He's just not. So do the things you're good at, Macdonald, which I think they're going to do. If they could get the pressure rate to be somewhere around that 45 to 50%, which has been the first 2 weeks that they have, we saw the difference. Like Bo Nix, I think, especially year 1, closer to Skylar Thompson. And then Jacoby Brissett, a veteran who was able to do more and create more even under duress. Okay, he was a little bit more successful, but guys, I think he had under 150 yards. He extended some things, and then once they bottled up Hunter Henry, it was game over. They couldn't do anything. So I expect similar results, team. That's what I think is, just do what you do best, and
Yeah.
with Skylar. Devon, real quickly, is, look, I think we have one person until Nuosu gets back who's really good at setting the edge, really good, and that's Mafe. And then Hall, I think, is better than Draymond Jones at setting the edge. I mean, he's just not really there that much. So you don't want to let that dude get outside. He is a talent, an absolute talent. And that's kind of it. It's like, set that edge. Do not allow, it's like 3rd and 2. You think they might be going between the guards, but they got the talent to bounce it outside with him because he's that skilled. So we've got to set the edge there. I know it's kind of simple, kind of vanilla, but that's where I'm going.
Yeah, the other part of it too is with Achane, when it comes to third down, it can be any distance. One of the favorite plays of the Dolphins is just to send everybody deep and then leak out Achane. He doesn't stand to pass block like ever. So you have to have a guy on Achane, because even if it's 3rd and 12, it's send everybody deep, leak out Achane, and dump it off to him. And so you have to have a guy on him on third down every single time.
That's a great call. I think that's going to be huge. And you called out Mafe, Clinton. One of the things I really love about Coach Mike, and also it drives me nuts, is we have no idea about injuries. And I think it's strategy for him. It's probably good strategy. It's like Leo and Mafe missed practice. I hate that. But then when you hear Mike, I'm not going to tell you anything. I don't have to. I'm just telling you he didn't practice. And so I guess that makes it tough on the opponent, but it's hard for us to know if those two guys aren't there. There are pressures. We have other guys salting with a few little almost pressures here and there, but overwhelmingly, Mafe and Leo are sending the pressure. If they're not there, this could be a little different. This could be a little different if they're not.
Yeah, good point, for sure.
Let's move it, because now we have removed 3-and-out. Hopefully those key players aren't out for us. 3 choices left on this show all about threes. Clinton?
Well, let's go. I'm a baseball fan, and there's nothing like you get your first hit of the day, and you're 1 for 1, and then your manager, your coach says, "Hey, you get back up there," and your coach says, "Have a day, have a day." That means don't go 1 for 3. And if you're 2 for 2, it doesn't mean go 2 for 4. It means complete your day. 3 for 3. Let's bat 100%. What do we got there?
3 for 3. Major fail on my part. I just realized these categories. I'm a soccer coach, 2 teams. I'm a soccer coach. And guess what's not on there? There's no hat trick. I have no idea how that happened as you were talking. All right, 3 for 3. Let's go ahead and click on this one, though. What if the Hawks do 3 things that will assure success on Sunday? These 3 things happen and we win. Don't need long answers here, but we got to get 3 things that you'd like to see happen, Clinton.
Okay. I mentioned one just before, so I'll go with consistent pressure on a below average younger quarterback. I think he's 27, but still third year. That's one, is just get that pressure. Number 2 for me is the Dolphins have been very susceptible to explosive plays, and could be because they have a brand new defensive coordinator with Anthony Weaver, who comes from the Macdonald tree. He spent most of his time recently under Macdonald in Baltimore, so that's interesting. But they've been goated and gave up some big plays. Now, some of it's like, well, the Bills are a great screen team and James Cook is dynamic. We're not a great screen team and Kane might not be out there, so I don't count on that stuff. But specifically, it's a Cater. I think it's Kohu. I think is how you say it. It's their slot corner. So that part, man, their slot corner is not great. And we are showing a real propensity to use the middle of the field. So I'll just combo those two and say an explosive play or two because of, just confusing them, which I think Grubb could really do, and then exposing them over the middle because we have better dudes in the slot than they could defend. Those are my 3.
All right. How about you, Brandon? These 3 things happen, we win.
Yeah, I'll go back to a couple things that I already said just to remind folks that these things, I do put them in my top 3. It is limiting Tyreek Hill, and they can do that with Reek Woolen. The other one, limit Devon Achane, especially on third down, and covering him out of the backfield on passing downs. And then the third one would be one of the things that we haven't done well. Well, it just we've only played 2 games, but there weren't a lot of turnovers against the Patriots. In fact, there weren't any turnovers. So turn the ball over, especially playing a backup quarterback in the Dolphins. I think he has the propensity to be very inaccurate downfield. And if we can be there to pick that ball off when he is inaccurate, then that's going to be one of the things that leads us to victory. If they can't get any turnovers on Skylar Thompson, then this game could be a whole lot closer.
Yeah, with our backfield, we should, unless he's just absolutely terrified, like some, just to only do dump offs. There's gotta be a pick in there somewhere or a forced fumble. Okay, 3 for 3. That's your guys' 3 for 3 we hope for. So we got 2 left: 3-pointer and the big 3.
I love being able to pick the one to close it out on. So I'm going big 3 for the second
Big
to last.
3. Here we go. You might have had some hint on where we would end up here. Brandon's probably already been poking at part of his answer here, but what if you list your 3 players on Miami that concern you most? If you followed along, I bet you know 2 of 3 from Brandon, but maybe I'm wrong. Go ahead. What are the 3?
Yeah, it's almost like I've been pounding the table for Tyreek Hill and Devon Achane this entire episode. And so let's bring him up because we haven't talked about him yet. Jalen Ramsey as the corner. He concerns me, but because DK Metcalf is kind of bit his daddy, I think that's going to be a fun matchup to watch. But he's gotten out of the gate kind of slow, and the pressure might be on him to perform big and show up against DK Metcalf then. And if we go to turnovers, he's one of those guys that I think if he's battling DK and is able to end up helping to win the turnover battle for the Dolphins, then that can swing the game back in their direction. And I am definitely worried about Jalen Ramsey.
Do you have any pass rushers you're concerned about on Miami at all?
No.
Brandon?
Nope.
No. Okay. Love it. Clinton.
Jalen Phillips has 5 pressures on the season, Clinton.
Yeah, not many.
And he leads the team.
Okay, yeah, so I love that. I'm so happy that that's the right answer, Brandon. And I'm sure the Finn fans, poor people, they wish that wasn't the true answer, but I'm sure they know it. Could you imagine just having them go through 2 games? You got one guy with 5 pressures leading the team. We would be pounding our foreheads on the desk right now in agony. Clinton, who do you got? 3 players on Miami concerning you most.
Yeah, so I believe that this stat is accurate. And if it's not, somebody could call me out on it. It's fine. I believe the Dolphins had 100 yards rushing in the first half versus the Bills last week, which is
Mm.
something,
I
and
can believe that.
that's in the midst of the turnovers and then a fourth down play they did not convert on. So kind of another turnover by downs in that case. And they still ran the ball really well. So, Achan and then Jalen Wright also as a complimentary back. So I don't think Mostert will be back. He has a chest injury. So that combo, that's still one. I know we talked about it a little bit, but the Dolphins have had, excuse me, the Dolphins have had challenges protecting the quarterback, but they've been running the ball pretty well in both games. So that's one. Another spot for me last week when Skyler came in and just they were finding some softness with the Bills with Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith is a longtime tight end vet at this point. He's savvy. He's quick enough. And we have still shown a challenge like Hunter Henry last week for the first half just destroyed us. So if we see a lot of Jonnu Smith, it kind of makes sense that Skylar Thompson's going to rely on the short stuff. And can we cover it this week better than we did the first half last week? I don't really know. The one dude on defense that I think is quite skilled, they have different skilled positions. That's unfair. But Chop Robinson as a rookie, while he hasn't gotten the glory stats yet, he's been very active. He is being disruptive. He is starting to percolate. And if that's another matchup where Chop is going against Stone Forsythe a lot, Chop Robinson's game is speed. He is a off the edge speed rusher. Forsythe has had challenges in the past around that. I don't know if Forsythe starts again. He looked pretty good last week, but that's an area of concern for sure.
Clinton, you're already hinting at a new type of stat, and I'm sure Adam Emmert's going to love it. Activity. He had 4 activity plays, and Brandon, you have to ask Adam on the next show what he would think if we just added another stat called he was active on this.
I love it. I love it. I do have to say real quick, I work with this our VP of engineering. He'll rename nameless, but he's great. And he often says, "Don't mistake activity for progress," which I love. So
I thought that's what you just did, Clinton.
Well, I'm calling myself out, right? Which is funny. So as you did, that's great.
Which means you get to take the 3-pointer.
Let's go.
And 3-pointers in basketball are cool. In football, they're dumb. So what if our Hawks can avoid a third 1-score game? I know the first one didn't come down to a field goal, but they mattered in the fourth if they were attempted. Last game, we had to block them. We had to make them. We had to make them again. What if we can avoid that being such a big factor? How can Seattle cause fourth quarter field goals to be less meaningful? In other words, let's get a game out of these 3 that isn't 1 score, Clinton.
Yeah. So I'll say the obvious thing and I'll add a little color to it. While we were sitting in the stands at Gillette Stadium, up 17-13 and getting the ball in the third quarter was a disaster. Now, the first drive was actually good, and then we get stuffed on the fourth down, and that really derailed the quarter because we ate a lot of time. But the rest of it was an absolute joke show. It was terrible. Right. So that's the the non-detailed answer is have a better third quarter. But right? The way in which I think this happens, and I do think that this is the result of this game, is the Dolphins have had a hard time getting pressure. Okay. Geno has been clean pocket. Geno has been all pro. Not clean pocket Geno has been at least pro bowler, with it's 2 games, but at least pro bowler. So that's it. If our O-line can, for the most part, keep Geno clean and Grubb can pick apart what is, an assembling defensive unit with a new DC, this matchup to me, guys, I don't think it's going to be that close. I do think we win this game by more than a field goal. Keep Geno clean. Let him pick apart a okay defense that can't really get pressure yet on the season. That's it.
And Clinton, you had me walking down the hallway. I thought I know which way we were going to turn, and then boom, we went to a surprise room. You said Geno's been great when he's pressured. Geno's been phenomenal when he's not. In other words, our pass game's great. I thought you were going to say all we need to do is combine that with a reliable run game, and it's dominant. That's the room I thought you were going to take me into, because Geno's been good no matter what.
With that, look, I think Grubb is going to take advantage of what's in front of him, and I think he's going to look at this and just be like, without K9 and we're still not getting great push, I don't know that we're going to see a huge tilt back percentage wise to more runs. It might be like, hey, UW style, they can't defend this. We're going to do it until they break, essentially. That's my guess, man. And a nice day out there, not a lot of wind, 68 degrees, no rain forecasted. That to me screams put the ball in the air.
Awesome, Clinton. I can tell Adam's going to love this show. Activity is a new stat. We don't care about running. Brandon, how can we turn this into a game where the fourth quarter field goal won't matter at all?
I would go, one of the guys that we haven't talked about yet today is Byron Murphy. And he's slowly been working his way into the conversation through 2 games. And this is a game where he can mess up Skylar Thompson's day pretty badly. And he's going up against guys like Liam Eichenberg, who is, he's only allowed 1 sack at the guard spot. But if we can find a way to, if he can disrupt things enough to where the other team's focused on him, Austin Jackson on that right side has given up 8 pressures and 2 sacks. And so I think that whether or not he gets a sack or not, but just the disruptiveness that he causes to where the Miami offensive line has to focus on him. If the Seahawks get up quickly and you have to rely on Skylar Thompson to try and pass this Miami offense back into the game, it's going to be those guys up front for the Seahawks on defense that can really mess that up for him.
Yeah, very interesting game. Very interesting game, because there's no doubt Miami has players that could make this, it could be dangerous, just because there's players that could do things very dangerously against us on offense. But if you just match up the 2 teams and the way they're playing, it could also be, we could just have our way with them. There's no, I don't know what's going to happen. I hope it's the latter. That's all of our questions. Let me check, because I did ask if they would throw, if our flock had any wishes before we get to your wishes. We have one, and
Nice.
It was my fault. I didn't ask until this morning, so they only had an hour. Car put hers in. Walker plays and gets 100 plus rushing yards. That would be a wonderful wish. But let's go to your gentleman's wish. Last week, Clinton almost had his wish. Mafe 1.5 sacks. Mafe got 1. Brandon wished for a good game with a touchdown from DK. We had a great game from DK with a touchdown. Your wish came true, Brandon. What's your wish, your what if Super Hawk for week 3?
I went offense last week. I'll go back to the defense this week, and I am sticking with Byron Murphy. He got a 1/2 sack. Let's see that first full sack from Byron Murphy, because I think that, yes, if this team can get up quickly against this Miami offense, then they're going to be struggling to try and climb back in this. Mike McDaniel doesn't seem afraid to really try and offensively get his team back into the game. A lot of coaches you'll see, when we're down, we'll kind of go into a hole. We'll just run it and try and run out the clock and keep this game as close as possible. Mike McDaniel plays to win, but that could lead to our favor, giving our defensive line time to feast on a young quarterback, a quarterback who was taken in the same round of the draft as Brock Purdy, ahead of him in that 7th round. And it's turned out a little bit differently for those guys. But I do worry. Skylar Thompson's got some talent, and I think he has the ability that, to push the ball downfield. And so I don't want to discount that going into this game. And yes, I think as Seahawks fans too, backup quarterbacks, they tend to concern us a little bit, but Byron Murphy, our 1st round pick, can help take all that away.
Yes, and we got the great announcers this week, but I think it's going to be a challenge trying to get Mike Macdonald, Mike McDaniel said right throughout the game.
Over under on how many times that gets screwed up. Let's
Yeah,
ask Clinton, who can't get Jordan and Julian love.
Hey now, catching strays. Who are the announcers, by the way?
I forgot his name, but I love him. I was gonna say his name on here, and I went to say it, and it like out my mind right when I was gonna say it.
It means not Greg Olson.
He's really fun. The lead announcer is really fun. I'm just trying to remember his name. Maybe I'll get it before we're
That's
done.
all right.
Kevin Harlan.
Kevin Harlan. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Yeah, New York lineage. Kevin Harlan was on WFAN, which is the flagship radio station for many, many years over in New York. Awesome. So yeah, he is good. All right, so Mafe gets one, and then a lot of activity. So it doesn't get to his 1.5. Julian Love got
a lot of activities.
Julian Love had an interception and a lot of activity, and didn't get two. And I keep doing this to myself, and I'm going to keep doing it because if you're going to be a Bear, be a Grizzly. Talked about it earlier. I think we'll be able to exploit again the middle of the field. And why? Well, go look at DK's chart. Go look at JSN's chart. Go look at the spray chart for Geno. There is no rhyme or reason. It's everywhere you want to be, which is the entire field. And they lack good nickel play. And I think Jordan Brooks is a good linebacker, but I still think that the middle of the field will and can be exposed. All that being said, we did a video just last night, me and Adam, that's out on the channel right now. That is all about JSN. Some 3 different stats that are deeper metrics on, is this signifying a real jump for JSN in year 2? And it's it's like a 20-minute video. So I encourage you to go check it out. I think it's quite cool. And they are deeper metrics than you'd normally talk about. So with all that, guys, I'm on the JSN, not GSN, the JSN hype train for a second consecutive week. And because I can't help myself, I'm going to say 7+ receptions, and he gets his first touchdown of the year in 2024. That combo package, nice game for JSN. Don't know about how many yards, but a lot of receptions, and he's dancing in the end zone at some point.
7 receptions and a touchdown. I will say, you guys have been very good on these. All these different shows where people pick who's going to be the player of the game, that kind of stuff. You guys are nailing it over and over. I wonder if it's going to be 3 in a row, three-peat for you guys. You're not always over the line, but the guys that you've picked to stand out have happened every single time. I'm quite impressed. So 7 receptions and a touchdown means you'll probably get 2 touchdowns and 6 receptions.
I'll sign for it, though. That sounds great.
For JSN this week. And then a Murphy sack. I love that idea. Let's go to your score predictions. Brandon, because he has got across the line on his wishes, he is up 2-0, even though both of your score predictions have been pretty good. Brandon, what do you expect for a score in this matchup, week 3?
Well, as I don't want to pick the Dolphins to win, but random weird stat is that the Dolphins are a perfect 8-0 with Kevin Harlan calling the game.
Oh, no.
Wow.
I take everything nice back I said about Kevin Harlan.
Wow, that's random. Yeah,
8-0 since 2022. So weird random stat that shouldn't matter at all, but would
somebody go give him
concerned.
Laryngitis. If you have strep throat, go kiss him or something, please.
Get Kevin Harlan out of this game.
Jeez, that's terrible. I love it.
No, but it shouldn't matter, and it definitely doesn't matter to me in terms of my score prediction. I am going Seahawks 27, Dolphins 18.
27-18. We get above the 1-score game by a point. What do you got, Clinton?
Hilarious. I mean, so, Brandon and I have been vibing. Like you said, we're 4 for 4 in our wishes, at least close to the pin. And we've been like really buzzing around the totals too, I think, and close to what we think the totals will be. So if you saw my reaction when he said 27, it's because that's exactly where I see the Seahawks topping out as well. I do think it's a little bit more lopsided. I got it at 27-13. I just don't think Miami matches up well against this team with the travel, with the backup QB. Just see too many ways that we could make this a double-digit win. And I know I'm always a homer. I know I'm an optimist. But that's how I believe it.
Achane. Yeah, I can't see their passing attack doing well against us at all. Achane is the one factor. And then, of course, turnovers can change any game. So hopefully Kevin Harlan's great success at speaking them into success. Well, I don't know, speaking them into excellence doesn't happen in the turnover situation, because that can happen to any team. But we definitely have the strengths.
So no credit, Phil. No credit for my 22-19 prediction. 1 point off on both scores last week.
What do you mean no credit for that?
Well, it was a 23-20 game. I predicted 22-19. I thought I'd get a little credit.
Fantastic, Brandon. Everybody loves you. You're a genius. Let's all bow down in front of our YouTube, whatever.
I thought I'd get like maybe a little asterisk up by my name.
Yeah,
So,
like Brandon, you need it, right?
Brandon, I have to say, there's one thing I have to say about last week, Brandon. Your score prediction. Your score prediction was so good. I could barely believe when I looked back and said, "Wow, just 1 point subtracted on either team." He was perfect on the gap. What an amazing prediction. And to top it off, he also had the what if Super Hawk. He just was a little bit conservative on the yardage, but yeah, you basically told us what was going to happen. What if Brandon tells us what happens?
Now, Clinton, go back and edit that so I don't have to prompt Phil the next time.
Okay. Sure I will. Sure I will. Just like I'm going to take my coughs out. I will do that too.
Yes. Okay. And I thought I said enough nice things about you guys. I didn't want to embarrass you, but now that I know you love hearing the truth about how awesome and wonderful you are, Brandon, I'll make sure I don't leave those things out.
I appreciate that.
All asterisks next time on this board for Brandon, whether he wins, loses, draws with his wish. So, well, boys, that was a ton of fun. Mr. Phil, you did it again. Another great theme. We all know about the magic of threes. Us humans like things in threes. There's just something cool and flowing about it. So I'm looking forward to this, guys. This to me, Tua or not, and it's not. I think we're in position to really have a nice game and just continue this momentum. That's my take. Brandon, I obviously gave your score, but there it is. Look, he's got the hat. He's got the hat. I love it.
He always wins.
Brandon always wins. Mr. Phil, you did a great job. Great theme. I'm excited, guys. We will see you in the Discord, and we certainly encourage everybody. Hey, if you like the video, subscribe, like it on youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. And we do 5 or 6 shows a week at this point. So getintheflock.com, become a Patreon member. As far as little as $3 a month, you could join us out on the Discord. And of course, a YouTube membership too will get you there. Brandon, was I factual?
You nailed it.
Wow. Feeling good.
Yeah. And with that, Brandon, it feels like there's just one more thing to say. So what if we say, Brandon?
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. Get that three-peat. And I hope Pat Riley doesn't find me.
Go Hawks.